the truth of the matter is, the president, when he was elected, from the word go, decided to use parliament to achieve his objective in terms of getting the legislation done, in terms of getting his budgets passed. And this is a normal procedure normally. When you are president, you have a lot to do with the executive.
Yes.
And many times, many executives, and more so in developing countries where democracy is still not mature, would always, their agenda number one is to weaken other institutions, other arms of government, so that they are able to govern as they wish. And you remember, Fred, when immediately after election, and that debate, I think we also had that debate in this house, the debate of which party was the majority and the minority. And it was obvious that Azimio was the majority party in terms of numbers in parliament. And that's where the rain started beating us. Because it is at that point the president went out of his way to make sure that he gets MPs from the majority side, which was Azimio, to add to his number so that he becomes a majority. And the whole objective of that was to secure the speakership position in parliament. So what happened? Independent members of parliament and members of parliament who were in the Azimio coalition were actually approached by the executive then, so that they cross over and work with the executive. By doing that, it is obvious we know what happened. People were given offers, and I think from that point the president realized that we have a house which has so many weak members that they can be bought like bread in a shop. That was basically the issue. And from that time, he got his way. So what has happened over time? Anytime he wants to pass something through parliament, you would call a PG in State House. And when they go there for PG, because they are our colleagues, and we take tea together. You know, when we are in the house, we hardly talk about party issues there. We take tea at the same table. So anytime they go to State House, they come back smiling. So what has happened is, over time, the president has realized that now this house is actually a house I can do whatever I want with. And you remember the finance bill that happened? When we were passing the share laws, it happened. You remember we were passing those share laws. Within 30 minutes, you pass a whole act of parliament, which is going to impact, have a serious impact on Kenyans. And the few of us who used to say, allow us to go on record of some of these challenges, we hear some of them. There's one of the members, a notorious member, who we've named him Weka Swali. Weka Swali means you just pass the law without debate. And
Makali Mulu, Member of Parliament for Kitui Central, and raised concerns about the governance approach to resource distribution and the treatment of lawmakers. He believes that while the Constitution emphasizes fairness in sharing public resources, putting this into practice has always been difficult. According to him, the promises of equality has remained more of an aspiration than a reality, with many regions still struggling to receive their fair share of national resources. His criticism also touched on how President William Ruto has handled accusation of corruption in parliament. Makali Mulu feels that generalizing all members of parliament as corrupt is unfair and damaging. He pointed out that fighting corruption requires accuracy and fairness, not a blanket statement. He recalled how former President Uhuru Kenyatta one named a specific cabinet member accused of corruption and asked them to step aside, showing that leadership in such matters require courage and precision rather than a broad condemnation. The Kitui Central MP also described how the relationship between State House and Parliament has been shaped in recent years. He noted that when MPs visit the State House, they often live in good spirit, suggesting that the executive has found ways to keep lawmakers close. Over time, this influence has grown stronger, enabling the president to get support for major decisions such as the passing of finance bill and the controversial social health authority laws. In Makali Mulu's view, this strategy shows that the president has discovered how to control legislature arm over government. He believes that instead of working with parliament on equal terms, the president has chosen to dominate it. For him, this is a risky political move because it ties the fate of MPs directly to the president's own political journey. If the government stumbles or loses public confidence, then both the executive and lawmakers may fall together in the eyes of the people.
But we will just pass because already serious mobilization has been done. And you heard Moses Kuria say that those, unfortunately, for the 13 years I've been in parliament, I've never been a member of the majority, I'm always the minority. So what has happened? You heard Moses Kuria say that they know that after workers rally and they say yes, they used to flock a certain office to go and be now rewarded for doing a good job. And I think that's where we lost it. So to me, the way I look at what is happening now, there are two things which have happened, and they are very important in this country. One of them, the president has realized that he's lost it. Mm-hmm. And now he's trying to regain, kind of redeem his image. And by doing so, he says, in case I don't redeem it, then I don't die alone. Mm-hmm. So he uses the Samson's principle, where Samson said, God, give me another chance just for this time. Mm-hmm. And he crashed the house and everybody dies with him. So it is in an attempt to do that now he says, you guys have to throw you under the bus. So that in case I'm dying, we die together. And this is not the first time the president is throwing the MPs under the bus. He did it during the finance bill, you remember? Mm-hmm. Where we said, tumepitisha kama mbunge. Then he went there and said, no, it is wrong, he rejected. So a number of times, the members of parliament on the Kenya Kwanza side have been thrown under the bus. Now, this is the last time now where now they have been thrown under the bus. But what has happened, which is very good for this country, and I think Kenyans have a reason to thank the Almighty God for this. I think God has realized that if I don't save this institution called Parliament, my people will suffer up to the end. So what has happened, to me, is an eye-opener. That you members of Parliament, you lost it. You became part of the pockets of the president. Now, time has come for you to get out of the president's pocket. By doing what? By now claiming your position as it is expected in the Constitution.
All right.
Because our position is well stated in the Constitution. So, anytime I see the WhatsApp I'm seeing here, I'm celebrating actually. Mm-hmm. I'm celebrating, saying, Kenya, this is the way to go. Because now the guys are saying, we now deal with the president the way we should deal with him. Mm-hmm. Objective dealing with the president, where if he brings a bill to parliament, it doesn't make sense, and which is not for posterity of this country, okay, you say no to it.
All right.
And whether there is need to amend, you amend. These are the issues, Fred.
Is that how you see it? Allow me to welcome Meshach Odede, a political commentator, to this conversation. Meshach, is that how you see it, that now this is a time, the reawakening of the 13th Parliament, that now wameamuka sasa, because now they're even revealing WhatsApp messages, yes, of how they've been communicating with the president. Yes.